inflammatory disorder of the liver. So we have seen hepatic artery inflow when it gets disturbed, though rarely there are liver infarcts because of the dual blood supply. The only exception I told you is the transplanted organ, transplanted liver, where hepatic artery thrombosis takes place and then it leads to eventual loss of the organ. So hepatic artery compromise, where do you see it? It is there in embolism, neoplasia, polyarteritis nodosa, which is a vasculitis, sepsis. The infarcts, they are pale, anemic, or hemorrhagic, and they are wedge-shaped and localized. You can see the pale wedge-shaped infarct on the cut surface of the liver. And similarly, on the microscopic picture, you will be able to see pale areas, though I don't know if you are able to discern them or not, but they are there. Here you can see very clearly alternating areas of light and dark nature. The lighter ones, they reflect necrosis. The darker ones, they show congestion, which I will tell you later what happens. Then there is portal vein obstruction and thrombosis. Portal vein obstruction extrahepatically, when there is a blockage, either it is very slow or insidious in onset, or it is catastrophic. Or but most of the time it falls midway. That is, it is tolerated to quite a good extent. Occlusion of the portal vein or its branches, it produces abdominal pain mostly, accompanied by ascites and manifestations of portal hypertension. Like, in portal hypertension, there are chances of esophageal varices, and if they rupture, they lead to massive GI bleed. So if there is acute impairment of blood flow, then there is congestion and bowel infarction. Now we will see extrahepatic portal vein obstruction. How does it take place and how does it manifest itself? Impaired blood inflow, portal vein obstruction, intrahepatic or extrahepatic thrombosis. There is a manifestation as such as esophageal varices, splenomegaly, intestinal congestion. If there is impaired intrahepatic blood flow, which you see in cirrhosis commonly, or sinusoidal occlusion, where when uh, uh, there is a problem in the RBCs, or there is systemic circulatory compromise, what you see is ascites, esophageal varices, hepatomegaly, elevated transaminases of the liver. Sometimes when there is hepatic vein outflow obstruction, for example, hepatic vein thrombosis, which is also known as Budd-Chiari syndrome, and there is sinusoidal obstructive syndrome, what you see is ascites, hepatomegaly, abdominal pain, elevated transaminases, and jaundice. Morphologically, this is very much important for you from your OSPE point of view. What happens in right-sided heart failure? You will see that the liver is slightly enlarged or normal. It is cyanotic in appearance, stents with rounded contours. On microscopy, there is congestion of the centrilobular sinusoids. Now, what are the centrilobular sinusoids? These are those sinusoids which are there around the central vein or in close proximity to the central vein. They are known as centrilobular sinusoids, and there is their congestion. With the passage of time, the centrilobular hepatocytes, they become atrophic, and there is thinning of the hepatic cords. जो hepatic cells जो हैं उनकी अगर cords two cells per cord होती हैं, तो वो कम होके 1 cell per cord हो जाती है, यानी उनकी thinning हो जाती है, attenuation हो जाती है. And as the disease progresses, it advances towards a sustained chronic process. then the severe congestion जो होती है हार्ट की, उसको हम कहते हैं cardiac sclerosis. This is peculiar in a way that there is mostly centrilobular fibrosis always. So it is very much distinctive in this way that the fibrosis which you see in this sclerosis is centrilobular. So you saw everything is taking place around the central vein, ठीक है, उसको हम सेंट्रीलोबुलर कहते हैं. Now what happens with left-sided heart cardiac failure or shock? It will lead to hepatic hypoperfusion and hypoxia. When there is hypoperfusion and hypoxia, you know, there are two regions in the liver which are most dependent on the arterial flow, and they have very little to have from the portal way as their as their nutrients. So both दो regions कौन से हैं? They are centrilobular hepatocytes and bile ducts. They are very much dependent upon the uh, uh, arterial blood flow. So if there is some compromise there in the blood flow, they undergo ischemic necrosis. ऊपर आपने देखा था राइट साइडेड हार्ट फेलियर में देयर वाज कंजेशन. हियर इन लेफ्ट साइडेड हार्ट फेलियर यू आर सीइंग दैट देयर इज इस्कीमिक नेक्रोसिस. सो क्या होता है कि कॉम्बिनेशन होता है लेफ्ट साइडेड हाइपोपरफ्यूजन और शॉक का एंड राइट साइडेड रिट्रोग्रेड कंजेशन का. दे produce alternative light and dark areas, a distinctive type of lesion which is known as centrilobular hemorrhagic necrosis. Remember, centrilobular hemorrhagic necrosis, it is a very distinctive lesion. This process is also known as chronic venous congestion or chronic passive congestion of the liver. The liver assumes the appearance of a nutmeg. What's a nutmeg? It's a you can say it's a spice. इसको शायद जायफल कहते हैं, और इसको अगर आप विजुलाइज करेंगे आप इसकी कट सरफेस को, तो आपको वैसा ही नजर आएगा कि जैसे कि हमें नटमेग लिवर नजर आता है, इसीलिए हमने इसको नटमेग लिवर का नाम दे दिया. ये ग्रॉस पे भी और माइक्रोस्कोपी पे दोनों जगह पे आपको नटमेग की तरह ही नजर आएगा. नाउ दिस इज द सीट, दिस इज दैट नटमेग. You can see alternating dark and light areas, the darker streaks and the lighter zones. So here in the lower diagram, which is showing you the picture of the liver cut surface, you will see hemorrhagic congestion and lighter ones, pale ones, the necrosis. So this is how it looks like. You can imagine it as the nutmeg. Again, chronic passive congestion or chronic venous congestion, central zone congestion and necrosis. There is hemorrhage in zone 3, mottled appearance है. Mottled मतलब धब्बे धब्बे से आपको कहीं dark areas, कहीं light areas नजर आ रहे हैं. Symptoms are similar to chronic hepatitis. For example, ascites, distended abdomen. There can be ankle edema, hepatic NCAF, and confusion. You can very well appreciate dark and light areas. The darker ones here and in the upper picture, they show you congestion, and the lighter ones, they show you necrosis. Similarly, down there, congestion and necrosis alternate. Centrilobular hemorrhagic necrosis, nutmeg liver. Again, in these various pictures, you are seeing congestion and necrosis. Congestion is in the top left is shown by the reddish areas which show congestion, and the lighter zones necrosis. Central vein के गिर्द ये सब कुछ हो रहा है. Here in the right bottom, you will see areas of hemorrhagic congestion, and there are also cords of normal hepatocytes and bile duct. Now, if there is impaired blood flow through the liver कब होगा? If there is obstruction to the portal blood flow because of cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is a good cause, a major cause. There sometimes there is occlusion of the sinusoids of the liver. That takes place in the sickle cell disease. You will see in hematology that there are sometimes the red blood cells, they undergo sickle cell disease, and that is called as sickle cell anemia. So there is when it happens, there is sinusoidal obstruction, and there is panlobular parenchymal necrosis. And in disseminated intravascular coagulation or DIC, again there is occlusion of sinusoids. Basically it is without any consequences, but if the patient is pregnant and there is eclampsia, then there is periportal sinus or locular occlusion and pericardial necrosis, and there is so much suffusion of the blood under the capsule that it will lead to a fatal intra-abdominal hemorrhage and eventually death. Now we come to hepatic outflow tract. Hepatic outflow obstruction. This is also known as hepatic vein thrombosis, Budd-Chiari syndrome. Budd-Chiari syndrome, this results from the thrombosis of one or major hepatic veins or their branches, and it is characterized by hepatomegaly, ascites, and abdominal pain. This hepatic vein thrombosis is associated with multiple hematological disorders like myeloproliferative disorders, which includes polycythemia vera. Then it is also present in pregnancy and postpartum hemorrhage. If the patient is taking oral contraceptives, paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, PNH, and intra-abdominal cancer, especially hepatocellular carcinoma. So in all these conditions, they lead to hepatic vein thrombosis, and there is sluggish blood flow through the liver. Sometimes there is mechanical obstruction to liver blood flow outflow. For example, there is a massive cyst in the liver, parasitic, or it is an abscess in the liver, or there is obstruction of the inferior vena cava. Sometimes the cases, they don't show you an etiology, which are known as idiopathic, which account for about 10% of the cases of hepatic vein thrombosis. Morphology पे आपको नजर आएगा, the liver is swollen, it is that purple like cyanotic with acute thrombosis of the major vessels, severe centrilobular congestion and nephrosis. You can see severe congestion, profound congestion of the liver. Again, you are very much able to see profoundly congested liver picture on microscopy. Then there is a short topic next, liver abscesses. The liver is prone to undergo abscesses. For example, amoebic abscess or protozoal or helminthic abscesses. And the routes to liver transmission of these abscesses, they include ascending cholangitis. That means it is post-hepatic. There is obstruction of the common bile duct, and then when there is obstruction, there will be inflammation, or the pyogenic bacteria, they will attack, and there will be transfer of that pus circulant exudate into the liver or towards the gallbladder or towards smaller bile ductules inside the liver, which are intrahepatic. That is why it is called ascending cholangitis. ऊपर की तरफ जा रही है ये. Or there is vascular seeding, which is from portal or arterial circulation from GIT, or if there is direct injury from a nearby source or a penetrating injury. For example, if there is a roadside accident that leads to liver abscess. Also seen in old age, or if the patient is taking immunosuppression therapy or chemotherapy. Sometimes pyogenic bacteria are there which produce these abscesses, like E. coli, Klebsiella, Proteus species of Pseudomonas, or it can be fungal as well, for example, Candida species. Now we will proceed to intrahepatic biliary tract diseases. We know there are two biliary tracts, intrahepatic and extrahepatic. Here we will see intrahepatic first. The diseases, they include secondary biliary cirrhosis, primary biliary cirrhosis, primary sclerosing cholangitis. We will see them one by one. What is secondary biliary cirrhosis? It results from obstruction of the extrahepatic biliary tree. Primary biliary cirrhosis is a destructive disorder of the intrahepatic biliary tree. Primary sclerosing cholangitis involves both intrahepatic and extrahepatic biliary tree. So आपने ये चीजें याद रखनी है कि सेकेंडरी बिलियरी सिरोसिस में जो है एक्स्ट्राहेपेटिक बिलियरी ट्रैक्ट ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन हो रही है. प्राइमरी बिलियरी सिरोसिस जो है वो एक इन्फ्लेमेटरी डिस्ट्रक्टिव डिसऑर्डर है इंट्राहेपेटिक बिलियरी ट्री का, और प्राइमरी स्क्लेरोसिंग कोलिंजाइटिस इन्वॉल्व करता है दोनों ही यानी कि extrahepatic and intrahepatic biliary tree को. There are certain distinguishing features for these three conditions. For example, etiologically, secondary biliary cirrhosis is seen because of obstruction caused by gallstones, or in children biliary atresia or stricture, or if there is carcinoma of head of pancreas in the adults. Primary biliary cirrhosis, most of the time it is autoimmune. Primary sclerosing cholangitis is also autoimmune, but it is also associated with ulcerative colitis in quite a large number of patients. सेक्स predilection जो है secondary biliary cirrhosis के लिए no, female to male 6:1 in primary biliary cirrhosis, while primary sclerosing cholangitis is more in males, that is female to male is 1:2. Symptoms and signs: pruritus, jaundice, malaise, dark urine, light stool, hepatomegaly, splenomegaly. Primary biliary cirrhosis same as secondary biliary cirrhosis and insidious onset. Same is the case with primary sclerosing cholangitis. लैब फाइंडिंग्स में आपको नजर आएगा conjugated hyperbilirubinemia and increased serum alkaline phosphatase, bile acids and cholesterol. Primary biliary cirrhosis में भी यही चीजें हैं, but there will be auto antibodies against IgM and antimitochondrial antibodies. Primary sclerosing cholangitis में भी यही है, लेकिन इसमें हमारे पास IgM antibodies आ जाएंगी और हाइपर गैमा ग्लोबुलिनिया हो जाएगा. Pathologically, on the microscopy, what you see in secondary biliary cirrhosis is that there is stasis in the bile ducts. Then there is bile duct proliferation, that is the increase in number with surrounding neutrophilic infiltrates and portal tract edema. Primary biliary cirrhosis means there is dense lymphocytic infiltrate in the portal tract, and there is a granulomatous reaction and destruction of the bile ducts, but these are non-caseating granulomas, lymphoplasmacytic in origin. In primary sclerosing cholangitis, there is periductal portal tract and intrahepatic bile. Now we will see one by one secondary biliary cirrhosis. The causes I told you: gallstones, the most common. And then there are malignancies of the biliary tree or the head of the pancreas, or in children there can be biliary atresia, cystic fibrosis, or polydocal cyst. This is because cyst of the common bile duct. They all lead to secondary biliary cirrhosis. The lesion is end-stage liver disease, and there is yellow-green discoloration, which is caused by stasis. On the cut surface, the liver is hard and it gives a finely granular appearance. On microscopy, you will see coarse fibrous tissue septa. Coarse से band होंगे fibrous tissue septa के, and they will contain small and large bile ducts. जिक्सो like pattern होगा इन septa का, इनके अंदर small and bile large ducts होंगी, और there is extensive proliferation of small ductules, especially at the interface. What is the interface? If you remember from your first lecture, that is the region between the portal tracts and the hepatic parenchyma. वहाँ पे हमने interface hepatitis देखा था. यहाँ पे हम interface bile duct proliferation देख रहे हैं. और जब ये सब कुछ बहुत होता जाएगा और कोलेस्टेसिस बढ़ता जाएगा, बाइल पिगमेंटेशन डेपोजिशन होती जाएगी, तो लिम्फोसाइट तो hepatocytes, they will show you feathery degeneration, that is they will undergo a foamy change, and there will be presence of bile lakes. So bile stasis later on will become less conspicuous, rather cirrhosis will be more, ascending cholangitis and bacterial abscesses may take place. So this is the picture of this is a picture that shows you bile stasis, the greenish discoloration, and biliary cirrhosis. Next is primary biliary cirrhosis. I told you earlier that this is autoimmune in nature, It involves intrahepatic bile ducts. It is a non-suppurative inflammatory destruction of medium-sized bile ducts. Now, please try to understand this. Non-suppurative, that means there is no pus exudate, but it is still inflammatory, and it involving medium-sized bile ducts. There is accompanying portal tract inflammation, scarring, fibrosis, cirrhosis, eventually liver failure. Female to male is 6:1, middle-aged women, but their peak is 40 to 50 years. They present as fatigue, pruritus, splenomegaly, sorry, eyelid xanthomas, skin hyperpigmentation, spider nevi, cirrhosis, symptoms of portal hypertension, especially esophageal varices, and hepatic encephalopathy. Pathogenesis, a reputation that it's autoimmune or anti-mitochondrial antibodies, which are most common, most characteristic. Other antibodies can be against nuclear pore proteins and cytomeric antibodies. And there is aberrant major histocompatibility complex 2 expression on bile duct epithelial cells. There are autoreactive T cells around bile ducts. Labs finding में आपको हमेशा सीरम एल्कलाइन फॉस्फेटेस एंड कोलेस्ट्रॉल रेस्ट मिलेंगे, हाइपरबिलिरुबिnemia लेटर ऑन आपको मिलेगा, एंटी माइटोकॉन्ड्रियल एंटीबॉडीज आपको हमेशा मिलेंगी in about 90 to 95% of the people, and these antibodies are diagnostic of primary biliary cirrhosis. Together will elevated alkaline phosphatase and gamma glutamyl transferase, which show cholestasis. Morphology पे आपको biliary small bile duct fibrosis and cirrhosis मिलेगा. It is a focal process. कहीं आपको ये severity में ज्यादा मिलेगा, कहीं आपको liver में ये severity में कम मिलेगा. तो एक जैसी liver के अंदर पैथोलॉजी नहीं होगी. और जो portal tracts हैं, they will be infiltrated by lymphocytes, plasma cell, macrophages, and occasional eosinophils. Interlobular bile ducts will be infiltrated by lymphocytes, and they will show you non-caseating granulomas, which will be composed of lymphocytes and plasma cells. Then there is progressive hepatic damage. Upstream bile tract obstruction होगी, proliferation, inflammation, necrosis, and periportal hepatic parenchyma में हो जाएगी ये. So on the gross examination, the liver is not very much abnormal in the beginning, but with the passage of the time, with the progress of the disease, bile stasis takes place, and it will give you a green discoloration of the capsule of the surface, while the capsule will be smooth and glistening with a fine granularity, which will show you fibrous tissue septa. Then with the passage of time, you know that it will lead to cirrhosis, and the pathology will be indistinguishable from chronic hepatitis. So in the nutshell, what you see in primary biliary cirrhosis on microscopic florid bile duct lesion or reaction with increase in their number, proliferation. What is florid bile duct reaction or lesion? इसको हम कहते हैं कि वहाँ पे bile duct की proliferation इतनी ज़्यादा हो रही है कि वो recapitulation की तरफ चली गई हैं, वो अपनी नंबर को बढ़ा रही हैं और डिवीजन में जा रही हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा proliferate कर रही हैं. और इसके अलावा वहाँ पे granulomatous inflammation हो रही है, which will be designated non-caseating granulomas composed of lymphocytes and plasma cell, and there is segmental degeneration of the bile ducts. Yeah, in this picture you will see there is an expanded portal tract, and there is proliferation of the bile ducts by lymphoplasmacytic infiltrate in the form of a granuloma. These arrowheads show you macrophages. Then there is again the arrowhead in the middle shows you granuloma, and on the top there is bile duct destruction. Primary sclerosing cholangitis. This is inflammation and fibrosis of intrahepatic and extrahepatic bile duct with dilatation of the preserved segments. So ये दोनों extrahepatic और intrahepatic bile ducts की inflammation है, fibrosis है, लेकिन प्रिजर्व सेगमेंट्स इन बिटवीन होंगे जहां पे उनकी डायलेटेशन हो जाएगी। और ये अगर आप इनकी रेडियोग्राफ देखें तो एक बड़ी पिक्यूलियर सी पिक्चर बीडेड सी नजर आएगी, जिसको हम कहते हैं कि कैरेक्टरिस्टिक बीडिंग ऑफ ए कॉन्ट्रास्ट मीडियम इन रेडियोग्राफ्स ऑफ द एक्स्ट्रा एंड इंट्राहेपेटिक बाइल डक्ट्स which is attributable to the irregular structures and dilatation of these bile ducts. This is commonly associated with inflammatory bowel disease, especially ulcerative colitis, in third to fifth decades of life, male to female 2:1, and it's a chronic cholestatic disorder characterized by non-specific inflammation, fibrosis, stricture of the bile ducts. आपको OSCE में पूछ सकते हैं, MCQ में पूछ सकते हैं। आपको पता होना चाहिए कि दोनों एक्स्ट्रा हेपेटिक और इंट्रा हेपेटिक बाइल डक्ट इन्वॉल्व हो रही हैं। फाइब्रोसिस होगी with intervening normal looking or dilated or stenosed bile ducts, and it's always associated with ulcerative colitis. So morphologically, it's there is a fibrosis, fibrosing of bile ducts, lymphocytic infiltrate with progressive or atrophy of the bile duct, and obliteration of the lumen. So it is very much characteristic in a way. The fibrous tissue, they deposit bands, they deposit themselves around the bile ducts in a specific onion skin-like pattern. For example, when you peel off the onion, you will see there are layers and layers of peels. Similarly, around the bile ducts, there will be peels and peels of that fibrous tissue, which will give rise to an onion skin appearance. Eventually, there will be disappearance of those fibrous tissue septa, and they will leave only a solid fibrous scar. The ducts, they become structured or ectatic and inflamed, and there is later on there is cirrhosis. Here on the radiograph, you will see bright areas which are broad ones as well as narrow ones. They will show you the beaded appearance, which is the characteristic where there is segmental sparing by the disease process, which will be shown to you by stenosis or dilatation. So this is beading of those bile ducts. Here on your right side, the arrowheads show you the narrowing of those ducts. On your microscopy, you see there is a bile duct around which there are concentric zones of fibrous tissue. They also contain lymphocytes if you happen to look at them carefully. So again, bile duct surrounded by concentric rings of fibrous tissue. So we say that this bile duct is entrapped in the fibrous tissue bands. Onion skin scar hota hai. The patients are asymptomatic or they present because of itching, pruritus, and their alkaline phosphatase are raised in the serum. The disease runs a chronic protracted course that is about 5 to 17 years. The symptoms are usually those of weight loss, ascites, peripheral bleeding, or encephalopathy. But here, about 7% of the cases, they develop cholangiocarcinoma, which is quite a high percentage. And they will also lead to chronic pancreatitis and hepatocellular carcinoma. Then there is a distinctive variety which leads to elevated IgG4 and it is associated with autoimmune pancreatitis. There is no definite treatment, though cholestyramine has been shown to reduce pruritus and sphincterotomy करते हैं कि dilate कर दें bile ducts को जहाँ पे के strictures हैं, but eventually liver transplantation is the only answer to this disease. Here you will see anti-neutrophil cytoplasmic antibodies, यानी कि ये भी ऑटो इम्यून है. जैसे पहले बताया PN का इम्यून को कहते हैं, P is small, एंटी perinuclear anti-neutrophil cytoplasmic antibodies in 65% of the cases. Next, it is a picture that shows you multiple cystic lesions. This is polycystic disease of the liver. These are multiple diffusely present cysts in the liver. Their number ranges from few to several hundreds, and they are lined by thin cuboidal to flattened epithelium, and they contain straw-colored fluid. Again, you can see so many cysts lined by the epithelium, which is obviously the cells cannot be seen, but you can see so much delicate lining. These are those cysts on the microscopy. They show you cuboidal or flattened type of epithelial lining with fibrous tissue wall. Next, in the liver pathology, there is a very important topic, that is tumors and nodules. The liver and lung are two very special organs which are very commonly involved by metastatic tumors. For example, the metastasis from the colon, breast, even brain, they can come to the liver. Primary malignancies of the liver are also there, which are hepatocellular carcinoma or cholangiocarcinoma or hepatoblastoma in the children, but still metastatic reports outnumber the primaries in the liver. And these hepatic masses, they come to attention not because of the masses themselves, but the patient undergoes a variety of reasons for which he comes to an inclination. He may complain of an epigastric fullness or discomfort, that he becomes jaundiced, or there may be sometimes radiographs, they pick up these lesions as the incidental findings. So one is focal nodular hyperplasia, but I will like to tell you here that this is non-neoplastic. This is not a tumor. This is rather an abnormal vascular abnormality in the liver. So focal nodular hyperplasia or FNH is found mostly in otherwise normal livers. यानी कि normal livers के अंदर अगर आपको focal nodular hyperplasia नजर आता है, don't go into a panic state. It is a localized, well-demarcated lesion, but it is poorly encapsulated, and it is composed of hyperplastic nodules with a central stellar shape or star-like fibrous scar. So आपको लिवर के सरफेस पे भी और या कि उसके माइक्रोस्कोपी पे भी दोनों जगह आपको एक सेंटर में एक आपको स्टार शेप scar नजर आएगा, fibrous scar नजर आएगा, which will be surrounded by hyperplastic nodules of जो कि hyperplastic हिपेटोसाइट्स की वजह से बन जाएंगे. ग्रॉस पे आपको नोड्यूल्स नजर आएंगे एंड माइक्रोस्कोपी के ऊपर आपको हाइपरप्लास्टिक हिपेटोसाइट्स नजर आएंगे नोड्यूल्स बनाते हुए. So it's not a true neoplasm, but represents a response to normal vascular flow through a congenital or acquired vascular anomaly that gives rise to alternating areas of parenchymal regeneration and atrophy. So please remember, try to remember कि ये वेस्कुलर एनोमली है जिसके अंदर ऑल्टरनेटिंग एरियाज ऑफ पेरेन्काइमल रीजेनरेशन ऑफ द लिवर एंड एट्रोफी आपको नजर आएंगे और नोड्यूल्स बन जाएंगे. इट में लीड इन साइज फ्रॉम 1 centimeter to many centimeter across Most commonly, it is present in the reproductive age group women, where it's present in response to estrogens, and if there is withdrawal of estrogens, it becomes reduced in size as well. There is no risk for malignancy, but there can be compression of the capsule. So आपने ये याद रखना है कि ये चाइल्ड बेयरिंग एज में हो रही हैं विमेन में, ईस्ट्रोजन डिपेंडेंट हैं वो, कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव ले रहे हैं वो, और इसके अलावा ये है कि इसमें माइक्रोस्कोपिकली पेरेन्काइमल रीजनरेशन एंड एट्रोफी साथ साथ चल रहे हैं, इसीलिए उसमें नॉडुलर आपको चेंजेस नजर आएंगे. Very well, you can appreciate on gross. This is स्टार शेप लीजन. सेंटर में आपको व्हाइटिश फाइब्रस टिश्यू नजर आ रहा है, फिर इसकी ब्रांचिंग सी हो रही है लाइक इन दी फॉर्म ऑफ ए स्टार. Here you can see a fibrosis scar with hepatic artery, bile duct, and chronic inflammation within the parenchyma. If you see, you can very distinctively see the blue colors, lymphocytes and plasma cells, and bile ducts. Obviously you can discern. Then there are benign tumors of the liver. Benign tumors of the liver, of which cavernous hemangiomas. The thing is, we know hemangiomas are tumors of the blood vessels. They are not the tumors of the liver primarily, but even then, hemangiomas are the most common benign tumors that take place in the liver. They are most common, well circumscribed, discrete red blue nodules, soft in nature, less than 2 centimeter beneath the capsule, and microscopically what you see is that they are vascular channels. They are lined by endothelial cells with intervening stroma. तो ये आपको हिमेंजियोमास कैवर्नस इससे कहते हैं कि ये बड़ी बड़ी सी इरेगुलर सी वेसल्स होती हैं, और ये जहां भी आपको कैवर्नस हिमेंजियोमा नजर आएगा, लिवर में हो या जहां भी हो, उसकी यही अपीयरेंस होगी. और याद रखना है कि ये रेड ब्लू होता है, सॉफ्ट होता है, और ये आपको इसकी माइक्रोस्कोपिक एक पिक्चर नजर आ रही है. हाउ enlarged, how big these vessels are, you can see them very clearly, and they are lined by endothelium, and they contain RBCs in their lumen. In every vessel you are able to see the presence of hemorrhage, and they themselves are lined by endothelium. Hepatic adenoma is actually, if you talk of primarily of the liver tumors, hepatic adenoma then comes to the place that it is the commonest benign tumor of the liver itself. ठीक है, बिनाइन न्यूप्लाज्म्स जो लिवर के हैं उनके अंदर हेपेटिक एडिनोमा जो है वो बहुत कॉमन है. इट इज प्रेजेंट इन द women of childbearing age who are on oral contraceptives, and it becomes regressed, though doesn't disappear fully, but it does regress on the withdrawal of oral contraceptives. ठीक है, इसमें the liver on gross will show you a well circumscribed nodule or a mass. It will be unencapsulated, pale yellow to tan, and it's very big. It's up to 30 centimeters. तो आपने ये चीज याद रखनी है. हमेशा आपको MCQs आ सकते हैं इसके ऊपर कि ये women of childbearing age में है, those who are on oral contraceptives, ये आपने जरूर याद रखना है. And there logically you will see sheets and cords of neoplastic cells, but they are very much resembling their normal hepatocytic counterparts. So actually there is very little difference between them and the normal hepatocytes or the normal picture of the liver on microscopy, but the only peculiar thing will be that there will be absent portal tracts and prominent arteries and veins. So इसके अंदर portal tracts आपको नहीं मिलेंगे, ये आपने जरूर याद रखना है. What is the significance of adenomas? Number one, they can be mistaken or even misdiagnosed by pathologists, unfortunately, for being हिपेटोसेलुलर कार्सिनोमा। अब आप खुद ही समझ सकते हैं कि अगर आप एक हिपैटिक एडिनोमा को लेबल कर दें हिपेटोसेलुलर कार्सिनोमा से, तो कितनी कैटास्ट्रफी वो उस पेशेंट की जिंदगी में लेके आएगा हमारा ये एक मिसडायग्नोस्ड केस। And if their location is subcapsular, then they are an increased risk to rupture. So if these adenomas, they are associated with beta-catenin mutation, which is a protein, then there is a greater chance of transformation into hepatocellular carcinoma. तो ये 3 significant points आपने उनके जरूर याद रखने हैं हिपैटिक एडिनोमास के। हम उनको मिस्टेक हमारी हो सकती है, मिसडायग्नोज कर सकते हैं फॉर हिपैटोसेलुलर कार्सिनोमा, और दे may lead to rupture if they are present subcapsularly, and they are associated with increased risk to transmission to hepatocellular carcinoma if they are associated with beta-catenin mutation. Genetics are very important for adenomas, which are often asked in MCQs. You have to remember that 30 to 40% of the cases, they show you HNF1A mutation, heterozygous germline mutations associated with MODY type 3.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. 1 minute ऊपर हो गया, please. End हो गया lecture.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.